Welcome. Good morning. My name is Lori Menzel. I'm Major Gifts Officer with the Rotary Foundation on staff. And welcome to our inspirational journey. We're so glad you are here with us this morning. It's so wonderful to see some familiar faces and also some new faces. So I hope that you enjoy it this morning. I am going to mute everyone. So hang on one second. All right. So as with any journey, it is important to be prepared. So here are some important travel announcements before we begin. All travelers will be muted to ensure a pleasant experience for all attendees. You will be able to unmute yourself if you are speaking. For the best views, you may want to select speaker view, usually located in the upper right-hand corner. This session is being recorded for those who have missed their flight today. If you would like to ask a question, please type it in the chat box, all in capitals so we don't miss it. If your question is not answered during the session, we will do our best to try to get it answered. So please sit back, grab your cup of coffee or your favorite beverage this morning, and enjoy the journey. And now it's my pleasure to introduce past District Governor Vivian Krimble, who serves as your District Rotary Foundation Chair.
Thank you, Lori. And welcome, family of Rotary and friends, to District 7570 Foundation Inspirational Journey. We're delighted that we have guests from not only our district, but other districts in our zone, and also from around the globe. So we consider each of you our special guests, and thank you for taking the time on your Saturday morning to be with us. You know, our goal is to exceed your expectations. And in so doing, our District Foundation Planned Gifts Major Gifts team has invited Trustee Geeta Manek to take us on a journey into the magic of the Rotary Foundation. But before we begin, let's take this opportunity. I would like to take this opportunity to thank you for always doing things, because that's what you do. You do things with your gifts, your talents, and your time so unselfishly, in order to make a difference in your community and around the world. You are the change makers in the lives of so many. So please, today, consider this a thank you gift from your District Foundation. We've missed being with each and every one of you. And now, Rotary International Major Gifts Officer Lori Menzel will introduce our District Governor, Nancy Whitlock. Lori?
Thank you very much, Vivian. All right. Yes, it is my pleasure, as you've heard her a little bit this morning, to introduce, of course, you know, your wonderful District Governor, Nancy Whitlock. So give her a warm welcome, everybody. Yay.
Thank you, Lori. It is my pleasure today to introduce our guest speaker, Geeta Manek, a second-generation Kenyan, graduated from business school in the United Kingdom before returning to Nairobi to join the family retail and property management business, which she still runs today. She joined Rotary in 1997 and belongs to the Rotary Club of Muthiga. She currently serves in several Rotary International positions, but today she is joining us as Rotary Foundation Trustee for 2020-2024. Trustee Manek has served in many Rotary roles. She was the first female district governor of Rotary District 9200 in 2013-14. She served as Rotary Coordinator for Zone 20A, and she was district coordinator of the Kick Polio Out of Africa campaign. Trustee Manek is passionate about initiatives that help women and improve education. In recognition of her humanitarian work, Manek was awarded an Honorary Doctorate of Humanities in 2019 by the United Graduate College and Seminary International. She's been honored with the Service Above Self Award. She and her spouse, Kaushik, who served as governor of District 9200 in 2008-9, are Rotary Foundation major donors and benefactors, as well as Bequest Society and Arch Clump Society members. It is my honor to welcome Trustee Geeta Manek.
Thank you so much for your kind and generous introduction. I missed a little bit of it, but forgive me for that because of internet. But a big thank you to Dana for reaching out, and Lori for inviting me to your district. I wish I was really there physically. I missed not traveling to the States. I've been at home grounded for 1 year, as you can imagine. But I'm truly humbled and privileged to be with you all this morning to share with you my thoughts and my experiences of what I see as miracles of Rotary. So thank you so much. Before I begin, I would like to bring you greetings from past Rotary International President Ravi Ravindran, who is the chair of Rotary Foundation, and of course all the trustees. I'm so fortunate to be able to work with such wonderful people at the trustee board. They're the most amazing group of people who have really bent backwards to enable Rotarians to do good in the world. As a fairly new trustee, a few months ago, I began my term early this Rotary year in the midst of the challenges of the coronavirus. As you know, Rotarians were desperate to make an impact. They wanted to positively impact their communities. And during the initial days, everything was unknown. We were in dark territories. There were unprecedented hardships of the pandemic. So much was unknown. And, all we could see was the death and despair. Rotarians are not, made to just sit idly by and watch what's happening as spectators. Of course, as people of action, everybody wanted to roll up their sleeves and wanted to do whatever they could to mitigate the challenges that the virus brought along with it. During this time, I witnessed firsthand how the trustees were so involved and so engaged to make sure that every grant that was applied for was granted. Trustees wanted to make the money available to Rotarians all over the world. Every district that applied for the $25,000 grant for the needs that they saw in their communities, applications were made simple. Approvals were granted in many cases in less than a week. And the Rotary Foundation's response at that level with the chair of the trustees and all the trustees out there was extremely fierce. They just wanted to get things done. And it was very, very swift. As I said, within a week, certain grants were approved. Up to 210 COVID-specific disaster response grants were valued at about $5.2 million were awarded immediately. And add to that another 216 COVID global grants, which are specifically, to buy ventilators and all sorts of equipment that hospitals and people needed on the ground. So, and to add to that, the support team at the headquarters in Illinois were absolutely remarkable. They just worked overtime to make sure that every grant was simplified. They would make calls to the applicants and say, this is not right, can you improve that? And immediately it was done. So for those who sometimes complain that the trustees are not approving my grant or whatever, I would say, just think maybe there is an error on your part. Maybe we've not met all the criteria. But honestly, the trustees really bend backwards because they feel and they know that that is their job. That is why they are there. So, and they really do not want to delay any funding because they know that you are going to do good in the world. So as I sat through the first few meetings and I witnessed that first magic of Rotary, that the people sitting there are so passionate. They just want to get things done and they want you to get, your projects going. So within that first few weeks, I saw the immediate magic of the foundation. Where your money, your contribution gets doubled, it gets tripled. And in the case of polio, sometimes it even, 6 times the value of what you've put in. And, sometimes I ask Rotarians, what sort of investment or bank will give you that sort of a return on investment? And Charity Navigator is an independent organization that, kind of evaluates our performance, and year in, year out for the last 13 or 14 years, we've got the 4-star rating. So I really feel very, very proud of our foundation. Friends, you see on your slide, there should be a picture that will appear shortly. This, as you can see, it's an Egyptian pictorial. And in this, you see the central figure. The man, it looks like, has a limb that is deformed. And this is a polio limb. So polio has been with us forever, but at least the proof here is that we've had it since the Egyptian civilization. This is a stubborn, debilitating disease, and yet it is preventable. In the middle of the last century, we had Dr. Jonas Salk and all those people who got us the vaccine, and it is preventable after that discovery of that vaccine. Why would we not want to prevent this preventable disease? Why would we not want to stop it in its tracks? Rotarians, with the help of our committed partners, have led the fight against polio. A few years ago, as many of you will know, that we had more than 350,000 cases of polio a year. And if anybody's been regularly monitoring the polio figures, last week we had 0 cases of polio around the world. And that is such a good sign, such a promising sign that we are really this close to eradicating and eliminating this disease forever. We can go from one country to another, but now the best news that we had was in the middle of the most unprecedented and uncertain times, the year of 2020 that all of us want to cross out. But some of us want to remember, because Africa was declared polio free during the middle of the pandemic. And this was a huge milestone. Many of you know the challenges and the weak health systems we have on our continent. So you know that to have this disease eradicated from our continent is a huge win for global health and for mankind. A couple of years ago, this was completely unthinkable. We thought we would probably be the last continent, to get rid of polio. But, we've done well, and we haven't done it alone. We've done it with cooperation, collaboration of all our friends and partners. And, Bill Gates, who very often is saying things like, we could not have made this progress if it wasn't for Rotary. And somebody like him to say that, it really is very empowering, but it is also because of him and his doubling of our donation that our contribution, we raise 50 million, and he gives us another 100 million to fight polio every year. And so this is another magic of Rotary. Every Rotarian needs to be incredibly proud of the efforts, we've made thus far. So I would say thank you, Rotary. Goodbye, polio. The elimination of the polio virus thus far is magic, friends. But allow me to share my optimism. I just told you that last week we had 0 cases of polio in the 2 endemic countries, Pakistan and Afghanistan. But I am so optimistic that within our lifetime, we will see this disease gone forever. But we must continue the efforts we've gone. We cannot slow down. We cannot get complacent, because all the hard work can be undone. It's like seeing the finish line when you're running a marathon and you see the line, and that last stretch is the hardest, when all your energy is worn out. And this is where we are at this stage in the fight against polio. We can see the finish line if we make that one extra effort, contribute to the foundation in the polio kitty, or talk about it, talk about surveillance, advocacy. We will get the job done, because the finish line is so much in our sight. Friends, so many Rotarians are out there working so hard to make sure that the hardships that our people face are reduced, minimized, or completely, got rid of. I'm a firm believer that dedicated and committed Rotarians go out each day. They bring light to those who live in the darkness. They are the ones who would make dreams real for those who dare dream, Today, in the 21st century, access to clean water is still a battle for many of our people, especially in Southeast Asia and on the African continent. Clean water, as you can see, it really is, access to safe water is still a battle. You can not only change lives by bringing water to the communities, you can prevent waterborne disease, and you can promote good health, hygiene, and especially for girls and women in my part of the world. Clean water and sanitation in schools will promote education. It will prevent absenteeism, especially for girls. In the next slide, you see some young men ferrying water in jerry cans. Okay, we've jumped one slide, but anyway, we can go back to the previous slide. And the previous slide shows Rotarians in Tanzania and Uganda trying to make sure that water is, provided in very, very difficult communities. But this is the slide I was talking about, where you see the picture. The first picture shows what it was, and the second and the third picture show the difference the Rotarians have made. This is really another miracle that Rotary Foundation provides in the communities. The next slide will show you young men ferrying water in jerry cans. These are 20-liter empty containers of oil and all sorts of liquid products that are sold. These cans are bought for 20, 30 shillings, which is about 30 US cents, the empty ones. And you can see how dirty they are. But I stopped by on my way to work, and I saw these young men ferrying the water. And this is a regular practice, but that morning I had a little bit of time. So I stopped and I said to the young man, I said, you know what? We are those people who can bring water to your communities. If you allow me, we go to the source, we bring the water to where you're delivering it. Can we do it together? And he says, no, we can't. This is my livelihood. You will be taking my livelihood away. So of course, it took a few hours that day and another few hours another day to convince them that what they were doing was great. It was getting them their bread and butter on the table, but it was still unhygienic and we could do better. And that you will be the people who will be employed in making sure that the water will be taken to the source, from the source to the destination, wherever you guys are taking it. They were taking it to a vegetable market in a small area of a big city. And my club got together with these people, got them the water from the source. You have to have a water meter and you have to go through all the logistics one has to go to provide water legally. This was, of course, illegal, the way they were ferrying it. And this is encouraging disease. And here we are fighting to prevent waterborne diseases. So we have to stop it at the source. And, with the small intervention, a little bit of fund collection, we managed to get water piped to the communities. These young men are now employed. They have a dignified livelihood. They are all dressed better than they were when they were ferrying this water. So when we say water is life, yet 780 million people in the 21st century do not get access to clean water, whilst 2.5 billion people lack improved sanitation. That is 35% of the world population. So friends, when you make a sustainable investment, an intervention in the area of water, you are really making dreams real. You're bringing magic to the lives of the beneficiaries, innumerable problems that you're sorting out just by bringing water. So you are not just preventing disease, you are not just bringing magic, but you are actually saving lives for mothers and children, making sure that, they live a healthy life. And again, Rotarians are so busy all across our continent. They're always busy in their particular areas of passion. And in the next slide, you will see Rotarians in Mauritius, the beautiful island of Mauritius, bringing dignity to children with cleft lips. There is a great social stigma attached to deformity. So Rotarians work very hard in these low resource communities to make sure that dignity is given to these young people, to the babies, the young children who face social rejection, It comes with, there is disadvantages in education, in employment, in marriage, in all sorts of social interactions. The magic of Rotary Foundation allows Rotarians to access funding, to restore the dignity to these families, and thus barriers that I mentioned are removed through simple, uncomplicated, and cost-effective surgeries. If it wasn't for the foundation, you and I could possibly help 1 or 2 children, maybe 5 or 10 children. But with the foundation, we can multiply our own interventions, our own impact in the community. And the magic of the Rotary Foundation continues. You can see in the next slide, with global grants, Rotarians in Nigeria provide incubators for the neonatal babies. Imagine the smile, imagine the relief on the mother's face when she would see her precious baby will live because of your positive intervention made by Rotarians, the partners, the host communities, host partners, or the local partners on the grassroots levels. You're saving lives. With the help of Rotarians, mothers stay stronger, babies become healthier, and live beyond the age of 5, that magic figure on our continent. We just pray that this child makes it. Another very heartbreaking slide I would like to show you is the next slide, where you see a picture of myself with malnourished children, forgotten and marginalized community of the Turkana tribe in northern Kenya. These are nomadic people who wander in search of water for themselves and for their cattle. This region has a cyclical famine, and when it rains, if it rains, it brings with it devastating floods. I'd been a Rotarian by this time. I was a governor-elect. I'd been a Rotarian for about 12 or 13 years at that time. But I'd been a member who was cruising along in my club, doing what everybody was doing and having fun when everybody was having fun, and, applauding the people who were doing things, and not realizing that that is the defining moment when I was with these children, with this community, that I really became a Rotarian. I really, truly understood the power of Rotary. I understood the power of multiplier effect of our foundation. I could not have imagined, for 12 years, if somebody's in Rotary, that's a big applause you should get. But you're not always a Rotarian. You could be just a member, which I was, and I confess. And I was going to be governor-elect. But I thought I was doing all the right things, ticking all the boxes that I could. But that was the day that I realized that I alone could do so much. I could bring a positive impact to the children with sunken eyes, bloated tummies. And although things were really bad before we traveled, we knew things were bad. That's why we were going there to evaluate what was how we could help. But where do you begin? Where do you start? What do you do? Do you buy them clothes? Do you get them food? And how sustainable is all that? Nothing was possible. At that moment, we were numb. I was shocked. I was dumbstruck. We'd gone with Rotarians, Red Cross Canada, and they were prepared to pump in money, but who is going to take care of people on the ground? We were thinking, what can we do? Where do you start? So the Red Cross health workers were going to focus on the vulnerable children. In the next slide, you will see how kids were weighed just to check their health, how they were weighed. They're hung into a sack, the shopping basket, the shopping bag that you get in your supermarkets. 2 holes were cut at the bottom. The child goes through, and a weighing scale, the balance type of a spring scale. And that's how we were weighing the children. See, the date on is 2011. And then you see how the children the length of the child is the height of the child is measured by putting the child and sliding the board, which is at the feet of the child. Look at the shrubs at the back. That's how dry the place was. And this is reality in 2011. Mothers were thin as rakes. They could not feed their children. You could count the ribs on the mothers, forget about the children. The only way to check, to do anything that I could think of at that time, my savior, the Roche Foundation, And the next slide will show you how we started very slowly making progress in this community. Of course, I went back to my club and I told them what was going on. They were like, no, this is Kenya. We live with high rises and we have so many, we have all the internet, we have everything, we have mobile phones. But yet our part of the country was like this, dry, arid, semi-desert. And here we started making small positive changes, empowering women with the basic skills that they would know. That was like making beads for necklaces, and they would be sold. Gradually we started working with them, and they were getting economic dignity just with their own hands, doing what they could. We started this with small personal donations as we began to think big. What could we do? Because this is no place you go and then never go back again. You can't live with yourself if you do that. You have to do something. So my club went to this dry, parched area. You can see no vegetation. One can only access this area on four-wheel drives, and there are hardly any roads, so you make tracks and drive through them. From our local challenges, there was no way we could do anything big by ourselves. We had to apply for a global grant. And the magic in the next slide, we wrote a global grant. We are now in phase 4, nearly $1 million down the road, and transforming this community with a biodigester, a windmill, a borehole, making the region green. We are now growing capsicums and watermelons, tomatoes, you name it, we have it. The nomadic community that was in search of water is now grounded because water is provided. Their life has some sort of stability. They have access to water. We've brought in partners with health, and health clinics are there. We have economic dignity for the women. Now the food is grown in such big quantity that we have surpluses that is sold. So now these women, the men go out in the local areas and are selling the excess food. Cabbages and cauliflowers and whatever they eat is now grown in their own backyard. And I must mention at this stage, we didn't do it alone. As I said, we did it with a global grant, but a Rotary Club in Israel came on board with drip irrigation, and a couple of Israeli Rotarians came over. They connected us with, fertilizers and somebody who knew about plants, and soil-specific plants should be grown in this area, and this is how you grow that. So they trained the local communities, and we partnered with a mission. So there was a little bit of comfort from the faith and comfort from all sorts of things. This was a new life for these people completely. And my district at that time, although I was incoming governor, the district did not want to do this project. So you can imagine, till this day and my dying day, I keep telling them, look, this is the magic. This is what we did. We could have done bigger if the district had got involved. But we did it as a club because, you don't want to ruffle feathers. And we, as a club, which was reluctant, my club, thinking if the district saying no, there's something wrong here. So we had to have a lot of meetings, a lot of conversations going back and forth. Finally, we are where we are. And this is really the flagship project of my club, my district, and probably, no, I should not say my continent because there's so many more. But, this is an amazing project. We are in phase 4. We keep applying for a grant after grant because, $1 million is not going to come straight from the foundation till we prove success. And every year we, ask for something new. So it was the windmill, then it was the water, then it was the borehole. Now it's training the farmers in the neighboring counties. So they come here, and now we have a farming school that teaches them how to farm and to get the crop, that we have a healthy crop that they can do. So all over the country, people are interested in knowing where this magic is happening and how they can be part of it. This is just Kenya. This is my club. So I took so much time talking about it, but we take you to Uganda. There's a cancer center that was opened by Rotarians, again with a global grant. Uganda is an amazing, powerful Rotary country. Our past late president-elect Sam Owari came from Uganda, and there was so much to be done in Uganda because, you know, of their political upheaval and political strife. People did not get access. Even to date, you know, there's a struggle for everything. So Rotarians came up with this idea of how cancer is just eating up people alive. Let's do something. And they built a cancer center in a little area of a big hospital, and it's the Rotary Centenary Bank. So Centenary Bank is one of our partners there, and the cancer center where people are, you know, checked and hopefully most of the time treated for free. Again, this could only happen with a global grant. The equipment, the training, the VTTs, and so on continue. And the magic, you know, is just elevating the people of that community. And still in Uganda, we have the latest Peace Center, our latest World Peace Center for Rotary Foundation at the Makerere University, which was launched last year. And the first cohort of students were supposed to start this month. I think they're a little late. They'll probably start in the second week of February. But again, this was launched in the midst of the pandemic. Despite all the challenges, Rotary does not stop. We worked overtime. This was with the partnership with friends and you know, people who contribute towards the peace centers. This is a remarkable achievement. Our first peace center on the continent of Africa. Here, the students will be studying the certificate program. They will study African solutions for the unique African problems, the challenges. You know, our wars are not those bombings and those stuff. We steal each other's cattle and our communities fight. So our learnings are different. Of course, we have every other problem too, but our conflicts are simple, easy to sort out, you know, and most of the time. And through our peace centers around the world, to date, we have 1,400 qualified alumni who are out there working, you know, in the World Bank, they're working in United Nations, in really high profile places, and they are guiding our peace centers, working with us and working with the communities. And again, this is another magic of Rotary Foundation. As if that's not enough, Rotarians are passionate about, you know, building all sorts of facilities where they empower the communities. And the next, we've gone too far with our slides. The next slide you should ideally see is an entrepreneurial center in Tanzania. Okay, maybe we've missed that slide, but the Entrepreneurial Center in Dar es Salaam was built by Rotarians. This is to ensure that young people have a training place to go. That slide would have shown you computer labs. It would have shown you all sorts of equipment that you need to do IT studies. And at the same time, in one of the government hospitals, again, Rotarians asked for a piece of land, and they said, can we build an oncology center? So they built a pediatric oncology center, state of the art. One would think straight from the slum, a child would be taken to a most sophisticated cancer unit, isolation unit, like the ones you see in the United States. It's completely out of place, but it's saving our children. It's a pediatric oncology unit. And so many children have gone through there, and mothers have been supported, you know, through that unit. Friends, you know, we have it in us. It is in our DNA to help all those in need. We have it in our heads, we have it in our hearts, but alone a small group of people will have constraint on resources, time, and everything else. We can work more effectively. We can be more efficient if we work with our Rotary Foundation, if we collaborate with corporates, we collaborate with the communities. We will definitely have more sustainable outcomes for our people. I've observed that Rotarians are most motivated when they see strong and robust results, and that they feel more inspired to contribute to the Rotary Foundation. And, you know, it never ceases to amaze me, and I'm so struck by the generosity of Rotarians who, you know, contribute generously to support the passions that they feel for their communities. You never cease to amaze me, because you are the ambassadors, of our foundation. You are the partners of people doing good in the world. And that's why I really believe that it's so important to continue giving to our foundation. It is your generosity. It is your generosity and your profound willingness to help people that makes the magic of Rotary, that delivers the miracles of the people who deserve it most, often the forgotten people, as I mentioned. Our foundation is the lifeblood for our organization. It allows us to live out our own passions of being effective problem solvers and to be really impactful. Our foundation really allows us to have that global reach. I'm talking to you across oceans, but it is only because the Rotary Foundation, we could have met somewhere in the airport, would have said hi and bye, but it is Rotary that has brought us together. So our global reach comes through Rotary. And this is what keeps us going, motivates us, it motivates others. Even through the pandemic, as I said, Rotarians have remained engaged to do good work and to do whatever they could. We took swift action to mitigate. Every Rotarian in their own community did so much. When Rotarians were in a lockdown, they sat on their desks and they were sitting with their phones and iPads and computers because they felt that they had to do something. They could not go out because they were locked in because of government regulations, but they sat there and they were contributing. One of the highest amounts was given during the last 6 months to our foundation, more than we budgeted for. Of course, it's going to be used, and it's going to be used by you and me when we do our grants. But I feel that, I should thank each and every one of you for what you do. I salute Rotarians because you guys are just amazing people. And I want to tell you that no contribution is too small. I would encourage anybody to give whatever you can, because, even that $1 can save a child from polio. Less than $1 it takes to immunize a child against polio. So Rotarians of your district, you are the dream merchants. You are those who make dreams real for those who dare dream. You are the people who deliver magical interventions. From your desk, you can make this happen. Friends, finally, my mantra I have to share, if you allow me. I believe that when the game is over, the pawn, the bishop, the king, and the queen will all go in the same box. This is your opportunity to make magic. Let us seize this opportunity. Let us leave a legacy that will outlast all of us. Work in your area of passion, but work with the Rotary Foundation. There is nothing except magic there. Friends, thank you so very much for giving me your time this afternoon for me and this morning for you, because every time I talk about the Rotary Foundation, I just feel together we can do it. We really can. And District Governor, I want to tell you, when I was showing you those pictures of the children in Turkana, at the moment, my last trip out last March was to the World Bank on International Women's Day. Global Partnership for Education, Alice Albright, the CEO, had invited me to make a presentation about women and the hardships of women and education and how we link it together. And so Roche International signed a partnership with Global Partnership for Education in the area where it was dry, semi arid, and now we have a plantation. We have taken over 57 schools out of the 400 something schools that are in that area. And Roche International as a whole will be working in that area. If this particular plan works with our ministry and the Global Partnership for Education, we will be going, to Ghana, to Uganda, and other countries. So this is in the pipeline. But that very year when I went to Turkana, I had people from your district at my district team training seminar. And I'd like to show you those pictures. that was sent to me by Ray from your district. Thank you, Ray, for coming and making such a huge difference in our communities. That is your Rotarians, you see, and you see my peace scarf. That is when I was training my team, my first. So your district brought me so much good luck during that time. And it kind of kick-started my journey as district governor, because that was my first training. I was nervous, and here there were these Americans from somewhere, and they were going to be watching what I'm doing and how. So here we are together once again. Thank you very much. I wanted to share that with you today. Thank you.
Thank you, Geeta. That is just a beautiful picture. I know all of those folks there, and we're so proud of them. Thank you.
Geeta, thank you so very much for your magic that you give us in your magical story. You know, we as District 7570 really have a big part in the story that you told right here in our own district and around the world. When you talk about polio and the grants, we also received one of those $25,000 grants. We were a recipient of that when you started your conversation today. And there's nothing more moving than a story about children making a difference in their lives. And the magic that you showed in the pictures, we felt the power that you felt of Rotary. Thank you for giving us that opportunity to journey with you for that moment. You've picked so many of the stories that certainly do touch all of us, and we so appreciate your being with us today, your sharing the magic of the foundation and the magic of Rotary. And thank you for your service to it. And also, we're very proud of the very last picture, because we love each and every one of those Rotarians that you showed, including you. So thank you so very much for being with us and kicking off this series. What a wonderful, wonderful opportunity to have the opportunity to hear you today. I wonder, we do have a few moments. I wonder if there are any questions that we have for Geeta.
Well, Hope on here had asked how she can connect with international grant projects. So maybe Geeta has an idea of a good way to do that.
How she would like to connect?
She was asking, how do I connect with an international project and get ideas on what to do? And I sent her to the international website that has a list of projects.
That's
Is that
right.
the best way to do that?
That is, but if we are guided as to what is her area of passion, if she wants to work maybe in environment, maybe she wants to work with mother and children, maybe she wants to, whatever area that she wants to work in. I know that level of the Rotary Foundation trustees will enable her to do the grant. The staff experts at Evanston will guide her, but the website is the best. And then connecting when you're visiting or going to Rotary clubs is always an appeal of one way or another how they want Rotarians to engage. But I could connect her with India to right up to Philippines, or here in Africa with any country or any district that we are told whichever project she wants to do, because we have a lot of need. We could do it the other way around. Say, for example, we will need scholastic material or teacher training for the 57 schools in Turkana, and we would be needing maybe $10,000 because maybe that is a shortfall. I don't know what the shortfall is, but there is a substantial shortfall. Would she like to participate, or her district like to participate in that? If any area of passion, because if you work in an area where you are just doing because you want to do it, that's another thing. But if you're passionate about it, you will see it to the end. So we're happy to work with her. You can give her my contact, and whichever area she wants to work in. And I all the time get requests saying, can you find me an international partner? We need $5,000. We need 20,000. So I can, match the two parties wanting to do anything, and all my colleagues can do the same in whichever geographical area that you'd want to work in.
Geeta, if you don't mind, put your email address in the chat, and that way everybody, that wants to reach out.
I'll do that.
Thank you.
Sure, I'll do that.
And in terms of Hope's interest, I know she said she would like to work with communities in Kenya. I believe she has a connection with a gentleman in regards to Kenya, but I think she's in the basic stages of learning about district grants. So we've kind of sent her in that direction to our Global Grants Chair. But how wonderful to have a connection to you, since that is the area that she wants to work in. So thank you in advance for sharing your email. Okay. And Hope sounds very determined, and I think she will see this through.
If it's Hope, then I know she will give hope to many.
There you go.
So let's go for Hope.
Well,
but any part of Africa, it doesn't have to be where I come from. I can connect you with anywhere. Yeah.
There also, Mike Quillen has reminded us that there are 2 virtual Rotary project fairs that are scheduled in February, yes. One for Central America and one for Colombia. So, and he would share that link with anyone who contacted him at Mike Quillen at mquillen@gmail.com. So be sure and do that. And I would remind each of you, if you do have other questions, please send them to either myself or to Nancy, and we'll see that Geeta receives those, and she will certainly get those responses back to you. It's at this point I'd like to go ahead and turn it over to for Dana Guthrie, our Planned Gifts and Major Gifts chair for our district. Dana?
I'd just like to say thanks a million to Geeta for inspiring us today. We really appreciate it. And thank you so much to all of our participants for joining us on the first stop of our virtual inspirational journey. It was quite inspiring. And just want to say the next stop on our journey will be Saturday, February 27th at 9:30 a.m. And it'll be about creating your own legacy. Thank you again to Geeta. We all loved your presentation. And Michael Williams made a comment that was perfectly fitting. He said, "You are a gift to the world," and we all agree with that.
Thank you. That's so kind. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Geeta.
Thank you. Thank you so much. It's been great being with you and sharing what we do out here. And one time I will ask my club and people in my area to invite you to share with us, because it's a completely different set of projects. You'll be doing that. And we'd also want to learn, best practices of how you do what you do. And that would be amazing. So I'll make sure that, we have some sort of an exchange, a virtual exchange, as it were.
Yes.
Thank you so much.
Let's keep that communication going.
Absolutely.
Thank you so very much.
Thank you.
Well, I assume with that, Laurie, do you have a comment?
I was just going to say, Geeta, we do have one last question in the chat box that NK brought up and said, in the future, would the trustees consider restoring the matching funds for cash contributions?
I must say, I don't know anything about the future because I don't know what's going to happen tomorrow. But, this is a question that keeps getting asked time and time again. It was in 2012, 2013, I believe, or just before that, we changed from matching grants to global grants. And global grant success is so phenomenal that it's in demand all the time. Of course, we can only award the monies that we get into our foundation. It's a pot, and we multiply it, and then we give it back to the districts. So if we don't contribute to our foundation, we cannot make a promise of the future. We have to go with what we are getting. So NK, I believe he knows more about the foundation than me. But honestly, this is such a fast evolving, even from last year to this year, we've had to make some changes. From now to the future, we'll be making changes in the Rotary Foundation. And it goes really with the way the Rotarians want what they want. As I said earlier in my address, that our job is to enable Rotarians to do what they want to, but it's a reciprocal arrangement. We can only give out what we get in, apart from the investments that are all Rotarians. It's all Rotarian money. We have to do the right thing. So if the right thing at this particular juncture in our Rotary life is that we can double the money, we will. If 5 years down the road the markets change, we have to change with it. So to be very honest, I don't know. I would like them to, of course, so that Rotarians can get a bigger bang for their buck. But for now, I don't know. Let me put it as honestly as I can. I hope I have satisfied NK, but we can take this offline and I can try and help you out.
Thank you, Geeta. And thank you everyone for joining us today. And we hope you'll be back in February to hear our next series. Thank you again for all you do and for just being a Rotarian. It's great to see all these faces. Thank you. Bye-bye.
Thank you. Bye-bye.
Bye.